Welcome to Growth Mind State, everyone, where we're talking about how to expand our minds and how to educate ourselves about everything that's been happening this week and everything that's been happening in the world at this point. How you doing, Robert?
I'm doing good. How are you today?
I'm all right. This is Anthony Thompson. Just to introduce myself, and this is Robert Catrona. So we're two partners of a breed right now, and we've got I think we have a lot of interesting topics today. Almost interesting in the way that we're talking about these topics that are intricate to our lives, but they almost seem boring if you just look at them at face value.
I think all our topics are the best. I think we get the best of the best that's out there that are easily accessible to people in our status. You know what I mean? We're not top tier yet, but when we get there, we'll have all the information. As of now, I think we do pretty good with data collection not data collection. That's kind of a bad thing, right? Gaining data for our resources for our show. I think we have some good topics all the time, considering.
So the main topics for today are Twitter launches Birdwatch, which is going to be a community-based patrolling center. Rob Portman is going to retire from the Senate and is not going to run in 2022. Netherland riots due to COVID-19 curfews, and companies using pandemic to leverage against workers. GameStop prices are soaring, so obviously we're going to have to talk about that too today. Yeah. So, I mean, if we're going to jump to it, let's just jump to Twitter, because Twitter has launched its Birdwatch program, meant to address misinformation on the platform by allowing users to fact-check tweets, which the company announced on Monday. Users in the pilot program, which is the pilot program, only includes about 1,000 users in the U.S. to start, which eventually will be able to add notes to tweets to provide context. And this is the very milquetoast way of describing this. In a lot of ways, this is having people snitch on other people for free.
Yep.
I just want to throw that out there first.
They're passing the buck on that one, so they don't get criticized for it. They want to be able to blame, oh, you didn't get banned from Twitter because of this. You got banned because everybody said you were talking about hate. So now anybody could do that. You get a group of people, you know what I mean? Anybody could do that. You know what I mean? If they don't like what, you could talk about abortion and get somebody banned or something, because of the fact that it's a group that's against abortion. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's a cop-out, I just feel.
I mean, we should play video 1 just to show people what their process is.
Okay, let's do that.
So, I mean, obviously, these are just this is a BS tweet. Whales are not real. They're robots funded by the government to watch us. So, but look at all these things here. Little harm, you know what I'm saying? This whole software, which is right now is not attached to Twitter. It is literally a secondary field that they have right now called Birdwatch. So I'm assuming that they're trying to first show this up to kind of to news organizations etc. I have a feeling that they're first looking to try to become a trendsetter in this instance, and be able to monitor more of their media more than like Facebook can. Um, but it is using basically people who could be seen as bots, social justice warriors, and just bad faith actors, and allow them to just
Yep.
knock off people who are on Twitter. And honestly, like having a little notch that says, "Hey, this is a joke," is ridiculous to me. Like if you that's the point of Twitter, is somewhat is like people do satire, people make jokes, people make it hard for you to sometimes know exactly what they mean. And if you got to figure it out sometimes. That's just a
Yeah.
personal perception.
Yeah. 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 It's. I think the only way this type of like approach is effective is if everybody kind of knows each other and it's a small group. When you have millions of followers, then anything can be going, you know what I mean, like crazy at that point. Like imagine 50 people. Okay, let's say you got 50 people. You kind of know who's saying doing what, you know what I mean, and why they might feel a certain way. But when you have like millions of people, they can all group together and cause bans and other issues with other people's media creation or content creation on whatever it's called, social media or
On
whatever it
any
is that you're doing
platform.
to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's 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 nice to think that you have people out there looking like a what is it, like a night watch type of thing, that they're looking for issues, but there still needs to be like a level of I mean, I don't know if there is or not, where they actually look at it and say, okay, we agree with that. Like there has to be a certain threshold, I think, set for, like, if we're doing something and we're saying this person's a bad person, shouldn't be on, they should be able to look at what we're saying and then decide whether or not it is or isn't, instead of just letting us decide. I don't know if there's going to be like a point where they're actually involved with the decision, the final decision making. But if they're not, that's kind of that there's a lot of problems with it. That's just my opinion. But
And I think that this isn't going to work out in the end, because the truth is that though I like the idea of them trying to moderate a little bit, I believe that they have to have accountability. So you kind of have to have people who work there, because the only accountability that'll be there is that you'll might get kicked off to Twitter because you flagged too many people. Like that's maybe what they'll do, but most likely they'll just kick you off Birdwatch, and that's not enough. Like, if we're gonna moderate tweets at all, I think that you're gonna have a robust system where there are people who are just going through it, and unfortunately, they're gonna have to do it one by one. And I mean, it's not the best way, but it's the most humane way that we know of right now.
yeah, the problem is everybody wants to be automated because the pure volume of people that they have to monitor is ridiculous. You know that it, it's
Yes.
it's not cost effective for them. So they're like, we have to have like an automated system. Everybody, look at how we talk. You know, when I say, oh, let's do something, let's try to automate this or let's try to do that, it's only for to get a bunch of things done quickly. If you can't do it quickly, then you're gonna fall behind everybody else. So Twitter and Facebook and YouTube, they have their algorithms to catch people doing God knows what. You know what I mean? And yeah, it's hard. I think people should just have their own outlet and their outlets. This is my personal opinion in regards to avoiding censorship, and just have it known that this is the place that you're going to come to see this type of stuff, and that have like a terms of service saying that this is what you can and cannot do, and accept certain things that other people, you know what I mean? Because it'll be said. So it's like, all right, I don't want to talk about pornography or whatever too much, but pornography, it's like it's a different level of video and stuff. You go there for a specific reason to see things or whatever it is that some people might deem inappropriate. But how is it that they can function in their own environment? I know they got their haters or whatever it is, but why can't we do something similar with other people's media that other people may or may not like? I don't want to. I don't like what is it? OANN. I don't like them, But at the same time, if you start censoring them, they're gonna also start censoring left wing stuff as well. There's got to be some sort of like balance in which people can, still say whatever it is they have to say and let people, decide what they believe through their experiences with it. Like I'm not gonna fall for OANN or any of those Fox News crazy things because of the fact that I don't agree with what they believe in. First off, and second, it's like I've done seen over time like the stupidness that they do. I think they should still have a means of talking. I'm not going to tell them to silence it unless they're spewing hate. They shouldn't censor anybody, and that's the problem with
Well,
this thing is
so
that people are
I
going
had
to
a great.
regulate it. Go ahead. I was going to say people are going
No,
to try
no,
to
please
regulate
finish.
it, and then by them trying to regulate it online, like to whose not opinion, but to who says that they're right in regards that that's considered hate speech because somebody is mad at the government. It doesn't mean that they want to hurt somebody in the government. It might just mean that they're mad in the government, but they might, because of something like that, kick somebody's Twitter off. You know what I mean? Like you're not supposed to disrespect the government. I'm like I'm not trying to disrespect it. I'm trying to say what I don't like about it. But somebody might take it in some kind of way and kick me off of Twitter, get me kicked off of Twitter because they're just haters. You know what I mean? They don't want to hear the justification of why I'm mad at something. You know what I mean? Like they're just like, no, I don't believe in that. Sort of like all lives matter and Black lives matter, right? Like they try to not deter, but get people's minds off of the main. I guess it is deter in some way. Off the main topic of why Black Lives Matter, they want to like kind of like detract. That's the word I'm looking for. They're trying to detract from whatever it is the person's trying to say. And like, there's going to be people out there that are going to hear what's going on, and they're going to want to detract from whatever it is that person's got to say, whether they're right or wrong. I don't know if I'm losing my topic here, but do you understand where I'm getting at? Like,
Yeah,
there's a
yeah,
certain
I do.
threshold in
Sorry.
which there's certain thresholds in which people have to that should be able to speak freely, and you're going to have people judging them based on their internal biases, like their own biases. Am I saying their biasness?
Yeah, their biases. And
Yeah.
okay, so that's what I was gonna. I'm actually gonna go back to more interestingly when you're talking about pornography or even sex workers in general. They still
Hmm.
need to use social media like Twitter. So in some ways, you need to watch out for getting these people getting kicked off that kind of network just for being provocative. So you could say that that's in the terms of service, but one of the things about Twitter is that their terms of service is basically very open about
Hmm.
what you can and cannot say. It literally there's not as many. Facebook has way more rules about what is allowed on their network.
Yeah.
Um, so it is disconcerting to have a community watch because there are going to be people who are, I mean, I guess haters is a great word for it, but like in truth, there are people who are virulently mad at somebody and then they're going
Hmm.
to take it out against them and they don't have
Hmm.
any strikes against them. So Twitter is going to be validate their context argument. And then
Or
it's just going to be like,
somebody with a big YouTube following or Twitter following or whatever else, they could just say something and like destroy their whole like Twitter thing as well, or their YouTube thing. That the whole thing about social media, there's so many like messed up parts of it. It's useful for certain things, but because the intentions of the people that are running it do what they do versus the people that are actually kind of like famous or like like or whatever within those atmospheres or whatever, those different social media like apps or whatever it is, there's a lot of things that can like be unfairly done to people um just because somebody doesn't like anybody. You know what I mean? You get the wrong, let's say God forbid, what's his face, that guy that was saying that the fake deaths at Sandy Hook or whatever it is, what the hell's that guy's name? Can I remember? Alex Jones. Let's say Alex Jones decides
oh,
to hate me, right? He's got a following and a half. You don't think that like his words can have an effect on me? Like everything I think in regards to like Twitter and Facebook and everything and people self-governing everything, it leaves too much open. It's not like it's like if I had like a system, I'd have my rules and I'll be open to suggestions, but but it'd be mainly my rules to how people play my app. You know what I'm saying? And that's the way Twitter should be. If they start opening things up, they did something similar, I think, with that. Did they do that with YouTube too? I think where they had certain people govern certain things, and then they still that didn't work or whatever, and
Well,
then eventually
and
they
and
had
that
to
was
like
kind of,
change.
yeah, it was controversial because, yeah, it was a controversial move for YouTube to basically limit a lot of the of what people will say, are able to say, and especially, um yeah, they're just restrictive. They have a, but they also have a more restrictive platform, and
Yeah.
we have to remember they're private companies. They're not public companies,
But didn't they
so
have a
they have.
self-governance type of thing at one point where they were trying to get, I think at some point, people to do whatever. But I think after a while, I think this was a while ago. I'm just trying to remember correctly because every company had their stages in which they created a service. Some hater came in and said, "I don't like this part of the service," and then they had to keep readapting. So the same thing with all the copyright laws and everything else that they're doing. They're constantly like readapting to avoid lawsuits and loss of money or loss of sponsorship or loss of whatever it is that they're getting through their service because they're giving the service away for free, so they have to somehow make it back at the back end, you know what I mean, in regards to
Mhm.
they got the people coming in, now they got to get the ads got to bring in revenue or whatever it is, you know what I mean, and they try to like service both sides, the ad givers and the person receiving the ads. They're trying to like get money out of them. It's a manipulative way, but like what do you expect from somebody giving you something for free, you know what I mean? Like the service is free and it's privately
Yes.
owned. And like a lot of people don't get that. They're like, that's not fair. It's a utility. I'm like, why did somebody have to make you a utility? They made it themselves. You know what I mean? So I'm not trying to say I'm against changing things into utilities. If it gets out of hand, then you got to do it. You know what I mean? Like Facebook and certain things, they've got to the point where it's like, all right, now it's a behemoth. We need to like regulate some of that. You know what I mean? Or like get some more money out of that. But in regards to you understand what I'm saying? Like in regards to like somebody just
Yes.
making an app. Like if I make an app for like my businesses or whatever it is, um, I would want like full, governance of that. You know what I mean? Like why should I listen to what you have to say? This is the way my thing's gonna go. This is the way I want to have it. If I'm taking somebody's intellectual property, then I have to pay for it, obviously. But that's the only thing that you have to worry about. And YouTube, they'll flag you for
Should.
things they assume. Like they all of them assume, and then they flag you, and you're like, what the hell just happened? I hear so many friends of mine going to Facebook jail, and like all this other stuff. You know what I mean? It's just I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm going
No,
off
no,
topic a
Facebook
little.
jail exists, but I wouldn't even call it Facebook jail. Like, for instance, on our one of our last videos, though, it's correct. You have to pay for other people's content if you're using it, even in fair use. Um, like Business Insider on our last video uh,
Hmm.
took a little bit of our, if we were going to make any profit off of it, Business Insider would have taken a little bit of profit off of that, and I think that's totally fine. That makes sense to
Hmm.
me.
Hmm.
But the thing is that there's such a high, you have to get to such a high level for that to matter,
Yeah.
and it's a weird conundrum that you have because you have to decide: do you just use all of your original content only, or are you trying to develop something that is more a multimedia experience?
Yep. Yep. I think collaboration and community driven like stuff is great. But like obviously nowadays everybody feels like that I can get the resources myself. So a lot of people are doing stuff for self. You know what I mean? Like I have my own equipment, you have your own equipment. In regards to like doing your audio and video or whatever it is that we got to do, and like we make use of it in a certain way. Some people they what's the word I'm looking for? They're dependent on others, and because of that dependency, I'm losing my whole train of thought, man. This coffee is not working. I'm sitting here trying to talk, and I'm sitting here like, oh, I'm still tired. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me get off this topic. Let's try to get on the next one. I don't want. I know we're
No, it's all right.
beating this
Okay.
beating this one to
Well,
death.
we can move on to Rob Portman's retiring as a senator from Ohio. It has gotten harder and harder to break through the partisan gridlock. Senator Rob Portman stated as he released a statement this Monday declaring he would not be running for a third term. The two-term senator is one of the most effective legislators in the Senate, using his relationships gleaned from a long career in Washington to find compromise, as stated by Politico. I want to be very specific because Politico has a slight libertarian lean. Portman joins Senator Pat Toomey, a Republican from Pennsylvania, and Richard Burr, a Republican from North Carolina, in retirement next year in key swing states, which in itself may lead to trouble for the GOP in the Senate, with the Senate coming up. So
Mm.
that's really what I wanted to talk about, is because now we're talking about a real split where we have a chance of taking a bunch of seats for the Senate, so that in 2022, 2023, Biden could actually enact somewhat progressive or left-wing ideals, because you're going to have maybe it's possible to have 52, 53, 47 instead of 50-50, which 51-49, but 51, 50-50 right now. Um, he reportedly is seen as a mild-mannered GOP senator and a key part of the Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell's caucus, attending McConnell's leadership meetings and also one of the party's best fundraisers. He's seen as a social moderate, being one of the first Republicans to endorse gay marriage.
Mm.
I just thought those were important and relevant because he is kind of really a center Republican. I will be like, I honestly think that he's genuine in his belief that he is a center Republican. I don't care. I'm glad that he's going to retire and he's going to be gone in 2022 or 2023.
Yeah.
But I like the fact that there's 3 seats up in swing states right now. And I think with the right amount of, like, we really have to talk about the tactics of the Democratic Party, but we could win those seats. Like, we just need to actually fight for them and not just say that those are going to be Republican seats because they were Republican before.
How do you feel about this whole like filibuster stuff and like what was the reconciliation thing that they're doing? With the
Which is the
making
most recent reconciliation, because reconciliation is actually just a specific term for a type of way of doing legislation to cut
yeah
through the Senate.
yeah like it's 51 versus 50 like like it's majority at that point without having that 60 threshold. I think it is 60%. I think it's like 60 or 61. There's a certain
It's
threshold if
like
they.
it's 2/3. You have to have 2/3 of the Senate. So
Okay.
that's what makes a lot of things difficult. That actually is what makes the impeachment of the president almost impossible, is because you
Yeah.
have to have 2/3 of the Senate, which means that you have to have, I think, 12 Republican senators
Yeah.
impeach, and that seems unlikely at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. It's crazy, man. That whole this whole thing is annoying, man. It's like we elect these people, and I feel like we don't get crap out of it. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. Of course, it could always everything could always be worse, right? But I think like they really gave us the bare minimal, and like the fact that we've elected these people, and I don't know, man. It's just sickening amount of money they
I mean,
make, and
do you agree with what his stance is? His stance is that there's too much political partisan gridlock to deal with to
yeah,
possibly do anything in this. So it's almost like we have to assess for them whether or not they had positive viewpoints when they came in. They wanted to change for the positive, but they realized that they were in a system where they had to atone to the masters of their party. Like, he had to be with Mitch McConnell. He became a very good leader in the form of getting more money, and then he decided, you know what, with Trumpism, I think honestly that's really what it comes down to. These people can't. They almost think that Trumpism was too far. They took it on for 4 years. They didn't. They shut their mouth about it, but now they realize that they're have an uphill battle with people who are eccentric.
yeah, yep, yep, yep. I mean, I'd rather have more people like him, I guess, and to some degree, like with kind of more of a level head. But at the end of the day, like I don't think this government's going far enough left on either side. So it's like whatever. He's gone. He's gone. It's nothing's really changed yet. Really, like a couple seats maybe might be available soon. But I think like until people start thinking like, yo, everybody's broke. We should give them money so that they could spend the money, so we could keep the things going. They're not doing that. They're giving the money to the wrong people, and the businesses can only hoard the money. You know what I mean? Either hoard the money, or sacrifice it for rent or whatever else. And then after that, then what? How do the employees and everybody else make a living? How do they eat? Take care of their kids? Like the whole thing is backwards, and I don't think any of these politicians. I wish we could clean house without it being a disruptive of government. You know what I mean? I wish we could change everybody right now, but almost everybody. Hold on a sec. I'm on the thing. What's up? Oh, okay, no problem.
And just so while we're going on, so just a fact. This is a CNN fact, but it's true. It was
Yeah.
when President Trump took office in January 2017, there were 241 Republicans in the House. Since then, 115, 48% have either retired, resigned, been defeated, or are retiring in 2022.
Yeah.
48%. So that's why I believe Trumpism literally is. I mean, I don't want to be happy about it because it literally destroyed our nation for 4 years, but it has a consequence.
So
So
yeah,
that's what I'm happy about is that there's a consequence to the
the
action.
disruption with the Republican Party, like the splitting, kind of like the fact that it kind of like made it harder for them to communicate amongst themselves because there's two different types of Republicans now instead of like one. You know what I mean? Is
Yeah,
that
I
what you're
think
saying?
I think that's exactly the problem. Well, for them, that's the problem. And honestly, this is why I am not for the unity argument
Mm.
because and trying to find quote unquote bipartisanship because the truth is that right now even though there's two different types of Republicans, most of the times they will always vote in lockstep.
Yep.
And they will always vote within their party, even if they don't necessarily, unless they have to be so diametrically opposed to that position before they actually vote against their own party. And that's not bipartisanship. That's literally, oh, we are
Self-interest.
the strong men in this. It's
I
yeah,
think
we're the
I think it's
strong men
more
in this
self.
party.
I think it looks like everything that Republicans do is self-interest. They'll be hypocritical, totally hypocritical about a thing that they'll say. Oh, we can't have a elected judge during this period of time, and then they elect the judge in less time. You know what I mean? Like they do a lot of right in your face hypocritical crap. You know what I mean? That's why I can't roll with them. Like I'm not saying that Democrats are much better, but I honestly also like what you were saying about how the two parties, I mean the one party splitting kind of. I could say the same thing about Democrats and progressives. You know what I mean? So it's like to me, none of it really matters until the progressives becomes the majority. You know what I mean? That the people just want to have things like put in a way where we can all have health care, have decent living. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's rich people's greed that's causing like the headaches and the bad things that are happening in general. You know what I mean? If people were all had a decent life, nobody would be out there. I mean, of course, there's always a bad apple out there, but it'll be a lot less bad apples out there because everybody will have food and so on and so forth. You know what I mean? They could at least keep trying to strive. Like have if you have a sense of hope, chances are you won't have as much animosity or whatever else in your life that would make you do something bad to somebody else. But they don't give a damn because they can go to the house on the hills and watch everything around them fall apart while they keep collecting money. These people, I don't know.
Well, that's definitely what Portman's doing. Portman is definitely going back to the hills and
Yep.
going to walk away from it. So, I mean, that's why I don't want to give him too much credit. I'm only giving him enough credit to realize that his position as a centrist in the
Yeah.
party of his party is
Yep.
just unimportant and stupid. It doesn't effectively do anything anymore.
Yep.
So you might as well just walk away from it.
Yep. 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 You want to
But
go to the net?
so I actually want to go on because the extremist quality is going going across the board. It's going across countries and nations, and even in the Netherlands, troubles flared up. Actually, this is it says the third night. This was a day ago. They still had troubles last night as well. So it's been 4 nights of riots and protests in the Netherlands because of a curfew that was instilled by the prime minister. I believe it was sorry about that. I just want to get that up. Sorry about that.
Sorry, it's all good.
Um, Root. His last name is Root. So the prime minister instituted a made sure to institute a curfew due to a COVID-19 related issue. Basically, the British alteration of the COVID-19 virus seems to have made it to the Netherlands, and they were worried about it, so they shut down and made a curfew for the first time since World War II. Um, it seems like this is just a lot of angry, apathetic people and right wing people.
Mm.
I just want to read off something that a journalist. It's important to also note that about 300 to maybe 500 people have been arrested at this point. So, journalist Catherine Kale, who was present at some of the squatters' riots in Amsterdam 40 years ago and made a documentary about Urk, is in no doubt about in the Telegraph. Telegraph is a newspaper there. It's too easy to call these people scum or say that they're being held back through lack of opportunities or they simply don't hold with authority, she wrote. I fear that we are here as a bunch of spoiled brats who are bored to go out and rampage for kicks. And am I wrong to say that girls were in a minority? In this case, there is some hope for the future. So if they were basically comparing this to what happened at the Capitol.
Hmm.
So a lot. This is a lot of the same forced anger, and I let's play the sorry about that. Let's play the clip video 2 of what how much destruction they really. It almost felt like a riot in Philly.
All right, I'll cut over right now. Are we getting? Is there
So
audio to
if you
this?
no, there's no audio to the beginning. So just in layman's terms, this is just pure riot. Like, I mean, we I don't think as Americans we can just conceive of the cops being on bicycles and I mean, not engaging. Like the worst was some tear gas.
What's crazy about it is people like things like this because they figure that. Hold on. What the hell is that?
They're throwing bottles, and like this would get you shot.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy.
And I mean, the riots themselves are for what I would say are is a dumb reason. Like we are trying to save the world in some form from a pandemic, and these people are, I think, basically incel right wingers right now, and they're like trying to find a way to push out all of this anger and frustration they have that they can't do just whatever they want to do at their at youth, and that's just insane. It's just, I mean, yes, the Netherlands is a very homogenic, country. It's specifically a very white country, but I don't believe that that's the only thing. I think it's just and like they are a first world country that's doing very well, and these youth are just like, well, I should be able to go out and do whatever. And I've
Yeah.
seen great videos of people cleaning up after them. People, the Netherlands is a whole different society. There are people that are waking up in the morning and cleaning up after all of this, but they can't even stand a curfew. And I mean, I lived in New York and we had a curfew for a month.
Yeah, there's triggers for everything, man. You know what I mean? If somebody's used to a certain kind of lifestyle and you disrupt it, those people that you think are sane and normal like turn into animals. Like I'm not saying that everybody there doesn't feel like a justified reason to want to do what they're doing or whatever it is, because of the fact that they're, being restricted to some degree in their mind. But because that's basically what it is, you're saying, right? That they're upset that they're
Mhm.
being, but that's the same way it is everywhere. You know what I mean? Everybody wants just some normalcy in their lives, and they're already frustrated. And some people, it just takes that little bit of, push to put them over the edge. And you think about, like, okay, fine, like maybe one out of 100 people are triggered, but if there's hundreds of thousands of people, that's a significant amount of people, right? Or millions of people, depends on where you're at. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So that's what the problem is. Most people just want to live normally and just go, excuse me, deal with what's going on, as rationally as possible. But nobody expected this. I was just trying to chill like before COVID came. You know what I mean? I wanted to, make moves, and now it's like it totally disrupted a lot of things that I'm doing. But then at the same time, it's called adapting, right? Like people don't want to adapt, so instead of adapting, they what's it, push back, right? It creates
Yeah, pushback. Yeah,
yep. They're like, hell
yeah.
no, I'm not down with that. I'm not going to be controlled by you. Who are you? You know. So I'm trying to keep you alive. Oh, that's my choice. Like that's the argument you're against. You know what I mean? That's my choice. I want to live the way I want to live. I was like, no, but you're gonna
And I have
affect
to give
others.
some respect to the I have to give some respect to the prime minister there because he did not back down from this. He two things, he did not back down from this at all and said that there's still going to be a curfew until we
Mm,
have numbers that are low enough. And
mm,
two, he basically has said the army shouldn't get involved yet. We
okay.
don't like it's not like we won't think about it, but there's another article that we all attached to this that was speaking on how the prime minister himself was like, no, it's time for the police to just still be out there, not the army, not try to like quell this with like as it is a riot.
Yeah.
It's hard for me not to see it as a riot, but it to them it is a more of a protest, and maybe that is something that is so different about a European culture and the United States culture about protesting and like property damage.
Yeah. There's a difference. I mean, not a there shouldn't be a difference, but I know I would have definitely gotten shot for throwing a rock at somebody. I
Yeah,
would think so. Yeah, but
yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah.
I mean,
But
I don't. I mean, nobody should. Honestly, no, nobody should be shot for throwing a bottle at a vehicle. But honestly, if they do so, they're probably going to do it in what is seen as self defense. And we just have different rules here. And honestly, who knows? Who maybe they didn't have. I don't know how the Netherlands works, so I don't know how they do with their weaponry. But maybe they're trained not to use their weapons, like use their guns in those situations. And that is one of those things. Like I think we've talked about defund the police, and we've talked about how the rhetoric of the words make it hard for a lot of it to change.
mhm.
But this is a clear like reforming, if you want to say reform the police even, this is a clear showing because these were violent people, and they were not, nobody so far is dead, and that is
Yeah.
what's important. Nobody, maybe somebody is injured, there are tons of enough people who are arrested, but there's nobody that is dead from this.
Did you see the thing with the cop that ran over the other place, right?
Yes,
Tacoma. Was it Tacoma?
yes, Tacoma, Washington.
Yeah. Yeah. See, like everybody handles it differently wherever it is, right? It's like I'm just gonna run you over, and you want to act stupid. Don't get me wrong, man. Like I don't want to laugh at somebody else's like pain or whatever, but this is why I wouldn't be a cop because I'd be surrounded by a bunch of crazy, looking people. They might not necessarily mean to come and hurt me and like break into the thing and hurt me like that, but it's kind of intimidating, man, seeing like a bunch of people running your car like that. Like so.
Yeah,
I'm not
yes, it is.
justifying him running people over, But that's why I wouldn't do it, because I know I'd be like, I'm out of here. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then like that's why I wouldn't be putting myself in that position. And that's the difference between me and a lot of other people. They think the honorable thing is to be in a position where they really don't know how to react to it correctly. I'd rather be in a position where I know exactly how to react. You know what I mean? Like,
I
and that's the
mean, but
problem
you
with
have
law
to give
enforcement.
you have
Oh, go
I
ahead.
can't give it to these people because I believe that their reason for being out there isn't for even for their own rights. They believe that they're having their rights encroached on.
Oh no, no, I'm
But
not talking. Screw
if
them people. But you know, like I'm not worried about the people in what is it, the place we were talking about,
Netherlands,
Netherlands or
yeah, the
whatever.
Netherlands.
I'm not worried if they're doing it for their selfishness, and like you know whatever, they deserve whatever repercussions, because I'm making sacrifices every day to make sure that my family's safe. You know what I mean? I create a schedule that could be a lot. You know, if I could just do certain things like in the way I should be doing them, it'd be a lot more effective, and I'd be done quicker. But it'd also be putting my family more at risk. You know, dealing with like random people. So what I do is I set my schedule for my work and whatever else to avoid people. Like, because luckily I could do that with my job. I don't go in environments with a lot of people that could be you know, possibly sick or carriers or whatever it is. But these people, they're like, I'm gonna go out and do whatever the hell I want and spread it. You know what I mean? That's their whole mentality. They don't care. They don't see the dangers in it. We almost lost 420 already, right? It's like up to 417.
It's almost
Um,
407. It's 417,000, I believe, right now.
yeah,
Um,
417.
I was gonna actually, if we're gonna, I don't have the article up right now, but there's also an article that I saw about basically a discrepancy in Israel right now, because there's an Orthodox population that is extremely angry that their schools were closed. And one of the things about Orthodox, especially Orthodox Judaism, is that the men of a certain age group are basically trained to think that education of the I was going to say Quran. Ah, sorry about that. But the their holy book is more important than anything else. So they're
Mm.
literally rioting in the streets in Israel, even though they have one of the highest vaccination rates. So it's just that, and they also have a higher, I believe, a higher infection rate. So they're the ones that are spreading it, and it's unfortunately a group of
Like Brooklyn,
Orthodox.
like
It's
Brooklyn, like
yes, like Brooklyn, yes, like Brooklyn.
Brooklyn is. Oh my God, man! Like there's always something like, oh, we deserve our rights. I'm like, yeah, but you're getting everybody sick. It's not really fair to everybody else. They deserve their rights too. Like there's got to be like, if you're gonna do whatever amongst your community, keep it within your community. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day,
But that's
but
it's
that's
impossible.
impossible. Exactly.
That's the
That's
real argument.
that's exactly the point. That's what I'm saying. Like, if you got a bunch of people scattered around throughout the population, how do you, unless they all move together and are isolated together, you know, let them get sick amongst themselves, but they can't do that. That's not realistic. Everybody lives in different places. I'm sure there's a Trumper on my block. I'm sure there's a Biden and a Bernie person on my block. You know what I mean? I'm sure there's a bunch of different people with different perspectives on my block. There's maskers and anti-maskers. You know what I mean? So like, yeah, yeah, none of that'll work. The truth is
Yeah.
education, and our education system is what screwed everybody up. People don't know the difference between of being isolated and segregationists, becoming segregationists or whatever it is. I guess, like separating races and so on and so forth. We all need to learn about each other's cultures and respect each other's cultures and such. But you got, you know, hatred being taught to these kids, lack of proper education taught to these kids from these schools where they only teach certain things, but they don't teach about the bad and the good. They don't teach about certain things about marketing and money management, and like, you know, there's a lot of like faulty stuff. Only certain people are getting the privileged information, you know, and usually it's not black or brown people that are getting it. You know what I mean? That's the sad thing about it. You know. Anyway, you all right?
Okay.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah. I just want to move on to the U.S. companies
okay.
using the pandemic. Yeah, I don't have much more to say about this. That's all.
Oh no, that's cool.
So, U.S. companies are using the pandemic to leverage against workers. This story is very specific, but it nails on to multiple stories that we talk about that I've seen about in the retail market, in the cleaning kind of construction, those kind of jobs. Right now, employees are alleged to be leveraging coronavirus induced unemployment to mount an assault on collective bargaining. There are multiple cases illustrated in the article that I have for The Guardian here and other sources that have put together where companies are using their pandemic to leverage for non union workers and more freelance contracting positions, which is like Grubhub, Seamless, Uber, DoorDash. I mean, that's what we're using a lot of right now in 2021 and 2020. So, lockouts are an economic weapon employers use to take the initiative in collective bargaining, says Alex Colvin, Dean of the School of Industrial and Labor Relations at Cornell. During the pandemic, lockouts pose a greater threat to unions due to high unemployment rate and greater availability of replacement workers. So the actual article here has a man named Delroy Cannell, who was worked as a stagehand for Portland Trailblazers since 1995 at the Rose Garden Arena. When the pandemic hit the U.S. in March 2020, public events were shut down and NBA games were briefly suspended before the season moved to a bubble in Orlando, Florida, and the season recommended without fans in July 2020. But once things started up again, they hired non-union workers, even as their jobs started running. The sound and lighting equipment are required whether there are fans or in attendance or not. So it almost is like a slap into the face of IATSE. And if you guys don't know what IATSE is, it is the workers' union, the International Alliance of Theatrical Stage Employees, 28. There's multiple ones. There's 52. There's 22. And they filed an unfair labor practice charge with the National Labor Relations Board and held protests outside of the Portland Trailblazers home games. So it's just a fight to maintain some of the past. I mean, and it's a good past. You got to have union employees, especially at an NBA game. Um, I'm not even union yet. I'm still non-union. I would still, of course, bleed to go work one of those games. But at the same time, I know the power of collective bargaining, and even as an AV worker, being able to talk to your coworkers even briefly about how much we're all getting collectively paid. Anything that is just different between how people are being treated. Those are important things to talk about. And if you're taking collective bargaining off the table for people, then we have a real issue.
Yep, yep, yep. Everybody's got to be involved in the process. The only thing is of course, depending upon the company, they feel like we're the CEOs, we're the ones that, and the most important people are the people on top and the shareholders. So like that's what they're thinking with this. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, they don't want to have liabilities. Things that unexpected expenses from people that work for them. They're like, this is what you're getting. This is the way it's gonna be. That's the type of not boss, but like owner employee relationship they want. You know what I mean? They want to have it so that everything is straight and narrow for them. And with unions and everything else, it can cause disruptions and other issues that they don't want. That's why people are going into automation and other things, because they don't want these liabilities in their stuff. So it's messed up, man.
But
You know,
but almost how do you deal with the things that are these cannot be this is like these are jobs that are cannot be automated. And I'm honestly the reason that it's wrong to hire the scabs is mostly because you're paying them way less. I know
yeah,
that most likely if I'm getting a non-union job or somebody who believes that they should, they're paying people like $250 less than the person that would have been a union position. And also you're keeping them on unemployment, which is going to run out at some point. So it's a lack of respect for the workers.
Do you
And
think
I
it's?
I made
I was gonna say, do you think that part of it is the government's not assisting some of these companies? I mean, like, I'm not saying that it's true or isn't true because, like, I know they're giving a lot of money to certain companies, but the ones that are doing things like this mostly, do you think that it's that they're not getting enough money to actually sustain what they currently had? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
what
go
with
ahead.
okay, so some certain companies, like when you're talking about maybe retail spots, which are obviously having being hardest hit, retail spots, places that if you're a cleaner or something like that, you may not at a hotel services, things like that. I think there's an argument for that, but this is the Trailblazers. This is Portland Trailblazers. They're not
Mm,
losing a lot of money this year. They're still getting the audience. They don't have to deal like people forget that they're not necessarily a lot of the people who work for these places do not get severance from not being paid for the year. They're just on unemployment, so the government is paying for their time.
yeah,
Um, so though the company itself can't write it off, because when you're a company, you're able to write off what you're paying people
yeah,
in a
yeah.
way. You're basically it's not your profit at that point. So yes, I think the Trailblazers, particularly people that are like having to deal with IATSE, they don't want to deal with IATSE. They had previous issues with it. They don't like collective bargaining. They don't want that kind of theater union to have so much power right now.
Yeah.
Um, so that's what I mean by leveraging the pandemic against them. Because basically, what they're doing is that when 2020, let's just hope 2022, we have people in the stands again, right? So you have a whole crew of people back in. They want to be able to say, well, your union didn't do well enough for you. So
Hmm.
how about we take away some of your control here? Like the next deal they make, they're probably not going to have as much power. I
Yeah.
don't know. It doesn't state when their next deal is because that's the thing too. A lot of times they have to sign deals every couple of years.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a
They
good
probably
question.
have. They probably have things with other companies too, where they have to make bids for it. You know,
Yes.
you know, that's interesting.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Good.
yeah, no, that's it. Please continue.
No, no, no. I thought you found something. I was just talking to talk.
No,
Excuse me.
what I found was about a company called Valley Fruit and Produce, which for 6 years has been getting locked out of his somebody Roberto Juarez, who has worked for Valley Fruit and Produce for 6 years before getting locked out of his job, argued the company had attempted to destroy the union in the workplace through negotiating in bad faith by pushing for reduction in benefits, wage freezes, hiring union avoidance attorneys while receiving between 2 million and 5 million in paycheck protection program loans from the federal government. So there you
Yeah.
go. You just talked that was exactly your question. Like they're
Yeah.
getting 2 to 5 million dollars directly from the government
Hmm.
and they're not willing to pay employees. They would rather hold on to that money for free. It might be fear, they might be just afraid that this is going to be until 2023, but I don't think that's a legitimate way to run things because then without putting money in people's hands, the economy stalls out again.
Yeah. Exactly. That's why I said like the money's got to go to the people because at the end of the day, the people, poor people can't hoard money. I mean, they could hoard money, but that'd be stupid, right? Like they need to eat and do whatever it is they got to do. You know what I mean? Pay the bills. No, they,
Yep.
they can only cry broke for so long. But when you know a check's coming, I don't know. That's crazy. Like,
Yeah.
it's nice to be rich, right? Like people give you more and more money. It's like celebrities; they get free things all day long. It's like when you're poor, it's like, nah, who are you? I saw some videos the other day of people driving past poor, people that homeless people, and it's like they looked at them in disgrace, like, oh, look at this horrible stuff. I'm like, it is horrible. Yeah, it is. Maybe we could figure out a way of getting them off the street instead of like looking at people like they're disgusting. You know what I'm saying? They're out there getting disgusting because nobody's caring for them. You know what I mean? It's not that they're necessarily disgusting people or whatever it is, but Yeah, that's crazy, bro. Like people, very insensitive
Yeah,
people out there, man. You know, but
yeah.
that's the way they are. They look at, oh, how's it affecting me? Blah blah blah. I'm like, shut up, man. Like everybody can have it so much worse, right? Like we all can have it so much worse. But yeah, that's why I said we gotta do a community based stuff. Like everybody's got to do things together. Do you want to put the stock thing up for you ready for
Oh,
the next one?
we'll do that in a second. Sorry, I was just waiting for you to finish what you're saying.
No, yeah, yeah. Just to let you know, like, I could see everything like the you're doing in Zoom or
Yeah,
whatever it
I
is.
assumed you did.
So, it's,
No, I assumed
so
you did.
yeah, so like it's good. I like the way the setup is. It's kind of dope because then like when I see you reading, I could cut over. Looks good. So far, it's we're managing. All right, go ahead. I'm good. We're going through these things kind of quick
So
today.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it seems like that, which isn't a bad thing because honestly, we can talk a little bit off cuff right now. It's good for
Yeah.
clipping.
Yep. Yep.
It's better to have kind of these shorter discussions sometimes because it's not like we're just blabbing on about something. But
Right.
the cooldown for today is actually pretty awesome because I think it's a little bit of just sticking it to the man, right? Um, GameStop, the smaller investors are facing off against hedge funds. GameStop stock prices has climbed at a precipitous rate. So over 5 days, the price has gone from about $80 a stock, $70 a stock to $320 a stock because of GameStop was targeted by an army of retail investors who marshaled forces against short sellers in online chat rooms. In the Reddit forum Wall Street Bets, with more than 2 million subscribers, rookie investors encouraged each other to pile into GameStop's shares and call options, creating massive short squeezes in the stock. So what that really means is that there was a company, specifically, I think it was Melvin Capital, who was trying to short sell the stock. So they were trying to, at their best right now, they were trying to basically invest in the company to fail.
Yep.
So instead of the company failing right now, their stock is worth way more, which is a head scratcher. And for a lot of people, they have no idea how to deal with this when this is a company that is a struggling company, and now its stock price means is way more than its value. So we're at a weird situation right now where that company is going to probably have its stock price decrease at some point, but it has taught us in a way that it is this easy to mess with the structure of the stock market. The
Yeah.
stock market itself is just so pliable.
The thing about this thing is that because they were doing short sales, right? Um, the people that have tried to do it are actually going to lose money if the stocks go up because they're betting on it going down, and if it goes up, they actually got to pay multiples of whatever the profits are. You know what I mean? There's like it gets expensive, so they could lose. Like you could only lose like if you're betting on stocks normally, you can only lose 100% of your money. You know what I mean? When you're going
Mm-hmm.
into short sales or shorting the stocks, if it increases, because you're banking on it losing. You know what I mean? You're actually doing the reverse, but money can always accumulate. So they can. It's like an interest based, a certain percentage that keeps going up and up and up if they keep making profits. And like they're saying that it could
Yeah,
go up to
and
like 20 something percent, almost 30%. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So you put $1,000 down. You know what I mean? That's a lot of money that like that you're paying onto it. It's an extra $30 for every well actually extra $300 for every $1,000 if I'm right. Am I saying that right? I
mm,
think so. Yeah, $300
I
for every
believe,
$1,000. So think
yeah.
about like
If you're
yeah,
short,
so yeah, if you're short selling,
if
yeah,
you're if you're using
approximately.
it as an option, there's a bunch of people that I've seen, and this is anecdotal because only a couple
Hmm.
people who got in at the floor. If you got in at the floor, you probably did make a bunch of money today. You probably made or yesterday. Um, you probably made almost $2,000, $20,000. It's
Mm,
if you buy a stock or two, or an option or two, because you're optioning that it's going to succeed and not fail.
yeah.
Um, but there is a truth that over time it is going to lose value, and therefore a lot of people are going to start selling like crazy soon.
Can
So I
games
mean,
can GameStop do anything with the money that they're currently earning now or whatever it is? Because it seems like they're there's money now in their pockets, right? In theory, can't they do something like kind of like change their whole thing? Like, because GameStop works kind of like they were saying, like Blockbuster is, and because the way they did a lot of with deliveries and other things like that. Didn't GameStop have like the delivery service at some point, and you could rent games and do other stuff at some point, and now it's just like basically a game store. Um,
yes.
yeah, so isn't it like, because I know that what's the word I'm looking for? A lot of people doing digital downloads now or whatever. So I know that GameStop isn't as relevant, but is there something that you think they could do to make it so that they are more relevant now that some of this money's coming in? Like, can they reinvest it somehow, or is it that
So I want to
uh,
say two things. Number one, somebody's actually asking if they can call in to the show.
oh yeah,
So that's interesting. Yes. So if you think of something of a way to do that, that would be very interesting. And number
yeah,
two, I think no, because they're a brick and mortar retail store.
mm-hmm.
So a lot of the things is that they have property that they have to deal with at this point.
Yeah,
So I don't know if they might not, go bankrupt. They might find a way to settle this out so that they can survive as a different type of store somehow. Maybe even like transform themselves into an online store as well. I mean, you get your PS5 from there, right?
yeah.
They can find a way to survive for a period of time.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, I would say if they
uh,
could take advantage of it, it'd be nice if they could take advantage of it. But
could you
and
could
I
you
still
take a
got to
Zoom?
zoom on you. Hold on a
No,
second.
no. If we bring a friend on just to talk, does the Zoom
I could
out the audio doesn't work,
I could send
right?
I could send you a link to send to them, then we could bring them in.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Let's do that.
Hold on, you got to give me a minute because I got to set up the thing.
Yeah,
What's the person's name? Where
Thomas
is it?
Ward.
All right, give me a second, because I gotta. Where the hell is the thing? Here it is. So he's watching the thing and wants to jump on.
Yeah,
That's cool. Edit Tyler, Thomas Ward, right? I still got last week's THOMS.
and we'll have a full call in kind of service soon too. We haven't. We're gonna run it through Discord, I believe, which would be pretty cool.
Yeah, well, we'll definitely have something. It's just a matter of time. Hold on a second. Let me see. So that's updated. I gotta get you a link. Open call manager. That's not what I want. I gotta double click this. It's cool that I could do this. It's just it was unexpected, so it's
Oh
taking
yeah,
a
and
little long.
also
Reset
I wish I had
password.
something prettier to put on the screen for you guys.
I could cut back to the other thing for this for now. I'm pretty. Reset password, copy link. Let me get into my. Sorry, it's clipping onto my. Well, actually, you can't see it, so it's good. It's nice that I changed it because my thing would have came up on your thing. So I'm sending you a link that you can forward to him.
Okay, cool.
It should be in your Facebook Messenger.
Got it.
See, man, we're technically connected, man. Sounds kind of funny saying that, but it's like kind of cool that we could do all that stuff. Technically connected. Sounds nasty.
He was saying that he had some interesting perspective, some insight on this. And I think it
With the GameStop
there's
thing?
so much, especially with the Reddit, because I am not a Reddit person. So for me, like just to get insight on Reddit right now was like the biggest part of my day, was just to understand exactly like what happened, like, and how
Greedy people.
aggressive.
Greedy people saw an
Yeah, I mean,
opportunity. And everybody's like, I'm on it. It's like it was mob mentality. You know what I mean? They jumped on it super fast. You know what I mean? They're like, screw that. So yeah, I'm just waiting. When I see him pop up, I'll bring him in or whatever. But I haven't seen him
cool.
pop up yet.
He might not have video on. Just so you know,
Okay. I mean, in theory, I think
we'll
I could
see.
probably still hear him. Yeah. So yeah, I hope GameStop out of all the stuff like somehow figures out a way to stay, around. But I don't know, man. It's like rich people playing around with people's lives. It's like, let's put money into this and like bank on them failing. That's kind of foul, man. It's like that's like a hater of
Yeah.
all haters, right? It's like I'm gonna bank on this person failing. Like
That
it's like
I mean, that is the way. That's why I actually brought in that topic before about the US. I just think that companies right now they're willing, because of capitalism, to lean on people if they need to. And right now we just watched Reddit and this kind of group of people just say, no, we're going to push back a little bit. We're going to mess with your entire structure. We're going to let you know that we know that the stock market is full of it. So
yeah, yeah. Yeah. How's he joining? Is he joining by phone or is he joining by like do you know what he's joining by? Cuz like sometimes
do not know.
if he's not using the right browser, sometimes it might throw you a blue screen. You got to I think with certain devices you got to use Chrome, and the other one, I think the iPhone you got to use the regular Safari app, but with the other stuff, Android and computers and stuff, I think you got to use Chrome.
Is that like how Firefox doesn't work if I try to use VMix?
I think so. I think in some cases it does. Uh,
Facebook.
okay, I see him.
Oh,
I
there we
see
go.
him. Yep, yep, yep. Hold on a
It
second.
was being weird and hateful.
Hello, sir. How are
Hey,
you,
Thomas.
sir?
It's Jesse. Damn it.
Is Jesse? Who is it?
Yeah,
Jesse
my
or
name's
Yeah,
Thomas?
Jesse.
Jesse Ward.
I
Oh,
just
I'm sorry.
don't. I don't like everybody knowing my first name to know my actual first name and my Facebook, and I like to
All
keep it
right.
confusing.
So is it Jesse Ward or is it correct? Like,
Yeah,
do I
It's
have
Jesse
the right?
Ward.
Jesse Ward. Yes, I mean my name's Thomas Jesse Ward,
Okay,
but
so
only the oldest living Thomas. Everybody, the firstborn son on my dad's side of the family, were all named Thomas something. And then
okay.
only the oldest living one gets called Thomas.
Hmm.
I don't
I
know.
see.
It's a weird white people thing.
Jesse with a Y or
So
I
there
E?
we go. We get it done.
It's
Jesse.
Jesse.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jesse. I'm sorry. I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
There you go.
So we got it.
But,
So what input? I wanted to hear what's your input on this.
well, I mean, the whole GameStop thing. It's actually really interesting to me, and I'm completely on board because what it was that the internet decided to fuck somebody over. I don't know if you've seen, Discord has already delegitimized the betonwallstreet.com Reddit is gone.
Mm, mm.
They've
Oh,
killed it. Well, I mean, they took 30, but here's the thing: these people play by their own fucking set of rules. Sorry if I don't know. I think I'm the only person watching anyway. They play by their own set of rules, and they cheat, and now they're mad because when they tried to cheat, somebody stood up against it.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
nobody, like maybe like you said, maybe the first 150 people who bought into GameStop are gonna make some money off it. GameStop's not going to make anything from this, and it's not going to stop them from going bankrupt. But
yeah.
what it really did was that it took I mean, there was a company that had $3 billion of rich people's money they were gambling with that just had to get a $2.5 billion loan to cover their losses.
Mm.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I mean, I
Yep.
don't know. I mean, whatever, you've been cheating and somebody else figured out how to cheat better, fuck you.
Yeah.
Yep, yep,
I mean,
yep.
I
and
mean,
did you notice that?
sorry, you knew it. A short is betting on something to fail. It is the riskiest thing you can do in the stock market
Yep, yep,
is
yep.
to do a short. You're betting on someone else to fail in a specific amount of time.
Mm, mm,
I mean,
yep,
it'd be
yep.
like moving your bookie down the street and said, in December, I think Seattle's going to lose the second playoff game.
Mm,
Yeah.
That's the kind of bet it is.
yeah,
And they thought they had some way that was going to go perfect for them, and somebody fucked them over. You know?
It was,
yeah.
yeah.
It's
I mean, I just
funny
don't.
watching the
I'm
rich
with
suffer.
you. I love
Greedy
that.
rich
I think it's
people.
hilarious.
Yep, yep,
Oh no,
yep,
it's the funniest damn thing ever.
yeah,
And then
yeah.
they're all mad. They're like, "Why should 20,000 people on the internet, and everybody had $100, be able to take away our $35 million?" I'm
Yep,
like,
yep,
that's
yep, yep, yep,
all I can come up with.
yep, yep.
How do you feel about them going after? It's not going after because I think AMC is not doing poorly, but I think AMC is the next stock that they decided to start targeting.
Well, is somebody trying to short it?
I'm not sure if somebody's tried to short it, but they've asked a lot of people to buy into AMC. So the stock right now, let me see if I can get that on the screen.
I heard
Look at
Nokia.
that.
Somebody told me Nokia was next. I wonder if people are just trying to pump the stock by saying a bunch of bullshit on the internet.
How do you think
That's
it's gonna?
also
But
could be it.
somebody told me Nokia was next, is what they told me.
How do you think it's gonna affect everything long term? Like, do you think it's gonna like screw up the whole stock
Well,
market if they keep?
no.
Wow.
I mean, first off, it's not like GameStop.
I think you're covering the mic. I
I mean,
can't hear you
GameStop's
well.
not on the Dow. It's not the 100 hottest stocks in the United States.
Yeah, I can't. We can't hear you too well. I think your hand's covering the mic.
Oh, okay. Let me try it. Can you hear better now?
Yeah, yeah,
Yep, you're good.
yeah.
Yeah, I just don't think that GameStop's not on the Dow. It's not going to affect the Dow. It's not going to affect
Yeah.
the Nasdaq. This is like basement stock shit.
Yeah,
It's like,
Yeah.
pardon the ghetto stocks, Like this is
yeah,
the Dow's the 100 hottest stocks in America is the Dow. We really can't, even as the internet, affect the price of IBM per se or Dell. But
yeah.
small companies where people are just trying to get in and take these little advantages, yeah, you can fuck them over all the time.
Yeah.
So AMC is one of the next stocks. So basically they went from today they went from $5 to 20 bucks.
It's crazy.
That's great. I mean, AMC doesn't have to worry about. I mean, it is okay. So they have to worry about their theaters. That's the only thing that they have to worry about right now is that they have a bunch of are we gonna have movies in the next 2 years? I don't know.
It seems like they're affecting all the stocks that seem to be like suffering, like out of like the fact that the necessity for those stocks are dwindling. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
AMC
exactly.
is dwindling. GameStop was dwindling. You know what I mean? I wonder if they're. I don't know. That's
No,
crazy.
I just think it's interesting. I think it's a
Did he jump
I don't want to
off?
call it a game.
Did Jess jump off? Because it seems like he's not there. Yeah, let
Believe
me
he did. It looks like it. So I think that this is no. I think it's a perfect thing to do. Like, um, there's no other way. It's a bunch of I don't know what to call them libertarians, but there's probably a bunch.
Was he
Oh,
back?
there you are. All right.
Sorry.
Yeah, there you are.
But no, I mean, I think people who have leases and own property, there's value in that company, right?
Yeah.
regardless of
Yes.
whether or not your company doesn't have value anymore because of changing times. For years, for instance, I work for this company still called Showland. All they're doing is selling off all the old Shoney's locations, the where the old Shoney's used to be, and Shoney's went bankrupt in 2008 or something,
Mm.
and they're still doing $15 million worth of business a year.
Mm.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. They still. Wow.
Interesting.
Restaurants in 17 states. I didn't realize they were headquartered in Nashville.
Where are you calling from? I don't know where your location is. Where are you from?
Nashville.
Nice, nice. That's a little distance from here. Yeah, I'm in New Jersey.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm in Newark, New Jersey, about 15 minutes away from the airport. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm coming into New York here in a couple of weeks.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know
Yeah,
I'll see anybody with everything on. My ex-girlfriend lives on Roosevelt Island, and
mm,
she has our dog that's 16 years old now. We just need to put him down. I'd like to be there.
mm.
Oh,
Oh, sorry
So
to
we
hear
sorry to
talked
hear
to the
that.
that.
vet. Well, we talked to the vet, and he said he's okay with me going there. I've already been vaccinated anyway, and I've
Oh,
had
Oh,
COVID.
good.
good,
So,
good. You
so
had
we
both
talked to the vet.
shots?
He said he'd be okay with me going.
Yeah, did you
I
get
haven't
both
gotten I
shots?
get my second shot next week.
Nice, nice. Yeah, it's interesting. Some people get access to it and some don't. My sister, she's a nurse, so she's gotten both shots already. And my mother just got her first one. So I guess
I
some people
work.
are
Yeah.
getting it.
I work for a group of really, really well-off older white dudes who all are gay and have AIDS,
Mm,
and so I don't know the situation, but I'm getting my shot early.
mm. All right.
So
I mean,
basically,
like,
you got a lot of the states have, if you're in close proximity to people that, like, on a regular basis, especially if you're with kids, like, it's
yeah,
easier if I was dealing with kids, I would be able to get the shot
Mm,
by now.
mom got hers because mom works at a daycare, and mom got her shot in Benton County, so like
Yeah.
maybe an hour and a half out of Nashville. But
yeah,
she got hers because she works at a daycare.
yeah.
But it's just all, I mean, I don't know what all's going on with it, but I needed to get it because I do have to be around these people, and they do all, even if they're non-symptomatic, they all have AIDS.
Mm,
Like, can't be
mm.
fucking spreading COVID and killing like 9 people at a time, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
And they're my
Yep.
main source of income. So,
yeah.
And
but
they're
so
good
yeah,
people.
yeah, man, they're good people. They are
Yeah.
actually.
It's a shame, man. People are just trying to make a living and do what they have to do, and like this whole
That's the
situation is
thing.
screwed
I
up for
fix
everybody.
computers. I have to go out to people's houses and offices.
Mm, yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, nobody's gonna. They will not fucking pay me for phone advice. I
yeah,
try.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
I just had to go out and.
I, I used to do a lot of computer and laser printer repair. You know, I got like all my certifications, like with Xerox, HP, and a bunch of other places. My
Yeah,
whole thing is that I can't I like now because I have my son. He's only 11, but I'm sure he's okay in theory. Like, you know, he's in an age range where it's not too serious, but you never know. But then I also have an elderly person in my house, and it's like I'm concerned that, you know, if I go to too many locations with too many people, you know what I mean. You never know who you're
I,
gonna run into.
it's been my concern, and I try
Yeah,
to do everything remotely I can. But at the end of the
yeah,
day,
yeah.
my business model has been helping rich old people with their
Mm,
computers, and they're just not down with it being remote.
yep,
So
yep.
I go out, I just do whatever. I mean, I do what I have to do. I work for one of my main clients is an engineering company, so I've always been considered essential,
Mm,
Oh,
at
okay.
least.
I see.
Yeah, because I mean, I mean, it's the structural engineering. They're still building things, I guess.
yeah,
But I don't know. I just want it all to be over with. I want to go to a concert again. I haven't been to a concert since last March.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Michael.
yeah. I remember. You remember your last day? My last day was March 12th. That was the number.
Mm,
It was it wasn't really then, but so March 4th, I went and saw Dan Deacon play at Basement East. The next night, the tornado came through Nashville and destroyed everything.
Wow.
And right as we were coming out of the tornado, the pandemic hit and everything shut down.
Wow.
So like March 4th was the last night I went out like a normal person.
Wow. Oh, so you were even a week ahead of everybody.
Well, we had the tornado on the 5th.
Wow. Did you
So I mean, I was
experience a
out
lot
there. I
of
mean,
it?
I was out there just fucking with my chainsaw, just cutting shit out of people's yards randomly.
Wow. Yeah.
And then we had
You
this
gotta
bombing
hustle.
at Christmas. Somebody fucking blew up downtown at Christmas. They didn't even blow up Kid Rock's bar. Which I feel like
I was
really
good.
something else. You know, if he would have taken out
Yep.
Jason Aldean and Kid Rock's big ass honky tonk, he would be a storied hero in Nashville. But no. You gotta go blow up the fucking AT&T fiber connection because you're scared of 5G.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
But no, that was pretty crazy. I lost business. I lost a serious amount of business in that.
Wow. People don't see
Just
like
because of
indirectly.
just because of the actual Nashville bombing, or because of just COVID in general?
Yeah, because of the bombing.
Wow.
I had
Wow.
6 clients in that area. I got 2 of them rehomed. 4, the rest I work for old rich white people. They were just decided to go ahead and retire instead of trying to stay in business anymore.
Wow.
So I mean, that asshole cost me like $800 a month is what it amounts to.
Wow.
Because he don't like the 5G.
Unbelievable.
So, I mean, I don't know.
That's crazy, right? That's what we're dealing with nowadays, right? There's a lot of crazy people out there. It only takes one crazy person. Yeah.
His fucking ex-girlfriend called the cops the year before, and like, he's nuts, and he's building explosives in the RV behind his house. And they went out, they're like, "Are you building explosives in your RV?" He's like, No, I'm not. And they're like, "Okay, you seem white and cool." And just
So,
like,
do you
let
think
it
that's a
slide.
federal? Do you think that's a federal government issue that they should have known by being told all this information, or is this
I
the
tell you,
local government saying we're
if his name
protecting
was
you?
Abdullah and somebody said he was building explosives in the RV behind his house, they would have fucking checked the RV.
Yep.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm.
And quite honestly, if he was black, they would have checked the fucking RV.
Yep.
But he was a white nerdy dude, and they're like, this bitch just makes up some crazy shit. They're like, okay, we're just checking.
He's just being rebellious, a little rebellious. He's not going to do anything serious. You know, he's just...
There's fine people on both sides.
Yeah.
See, this is why I have people on. This is why.
Blow up downtown Nashville because of 5G, and some people don't. But who am I to judge?
Oh my God.
What I'm gonna say, this is why I have people from across the country that I know, is because like this is a complete like perception that maybe people from Tennessee or Nashville, with like the way things have gone, are all in the same boat. They all think the same way about this, and clearly, you know, like you have international or people who like to travel and like to know more about the world. And like Jesse is one of these people. Like I bet you've been like, I'm fiending to go to New York too. Unfortunately, it's got to be.
I would
for
tell
a
you
bad
go
reason,
somewhere. I mean, I don't know what it's going to put, but actually, the whole point would be is that Hillary wants me to go stay with her in Vermont on that ski resort where she bought the chalet.
True.
That girl, the one I lived in Boston, I was kind of dating. I went to see last summer. We just started dating for the pandemic, kind of. Not serious, but you know. And then, so she was living in Cambridge, but she makes a shit ton of money. And she just bought a chalet at Sugarbush Mountain in Warren, Vermont, where you can see the ski lift out of her front door. And I guess she was supposed to go stay there for a while. I was like, how long's
Yeah.
a while? Like, what do I do to make money? She's like, I can't leave, and I make $350,000 a year. I'll just keep you as a pet. Um, so if I go through, I probably will just be on my way to New York because we'll put Willie down. Then I'm gonna leave Ophelia with Pond, and then maybe go stay like a month in Vermont. Is what I was thinking.
That's good.
See how it
That's
is.
good.
Yeah. I've never been skiing before.
Yeah, it's
Really?
cool. I did it years and
So I'm
years
from
ago.
the South.
Yeah.
True. True.
Take your time with it, though, man. If you're gonna do it, take your time. It's relatively
Yeah,
easy.
I've got
if
shitty
you're not
ass. I've
broke.
got that low level Obamacare insurance. I can't be like doing black diamonds.
Yeah.
I got
Yeah.
a $3,000 deductible, yeah.
Wow. Yeah, isn't that
So
crazy, man?
if I
It's
fuck
like,
myself up, I better do it all the way.
yeah. Wow.
But
Make it
$3,000.
financially feasible. Yeah.
she was saying that what I should do is take the class and teach the kids ski school because it's a 2-day class and you only ski down this little 20-foot hill and you're essentially just babysitting like kids all day. Like 5 kids, $100 a kid. You make $500 a day.
It's good. It's good money.
Yeah. I mean, I'll babysit for that.
Yep.
By the way, did we miss any stories today, or is there like anything
we
that just
did.
happened today?
Have
Like
you
just
seen the crazy QAnon congresswoman had deleted all her Facebook stuff where she'd been like screaming Alex Jones shit at James Hogg after the school shootings? Like, why are you lying about the false flag and lying about there being federal, being people in there and your school and all that?
yeah,
I can't
I
remember.
saw that
Marjorie Taylor or something is her name.
Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Green, yeah, Jones Green. So it's a very white name. All 3 names are white because it's Green with a Grene. This is the whitest way to spell green. Yeah. But yeah, she was out there being stupid.
She said a bullet to the head would be quicker than removing House Speaker Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah.
And that removal or death doesn't matter as long as Pelosi goes. And she only said this in 2018.
Wow.
Bitch be tripping.
Wow.
That's the one that we talked about the other day. The lady.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's why those Republicans are just saying we're done. We don't have the time for this anymore because they're not going to be bipartisan for real. But like if there's a bunch of these crazy people, like why be bipartisan? Yeah.
Oh, sweet summer child.
How do you feel about all the delays with like they said that they're supposed to go to what is it, President's Day or whatever for like a week? They might be canceling it. How do you feel about like all these delays that they're causing people for like stimulus and everything? Because like they're basically taking all these breaks and like saying that like supposedly Biden or whatever is saying that
they got a lot to do. They got the impeachment. They've got to confirm all the Biden cabinet members.
Yeah.
But I mean, McConnell only today agreed on the new rules for the Senate.
Yeah.
Because he's a poopy head.
I think a lot of them are. I think a lot of them are elected and they're doing nothing.
I'll tell you, watching this shit, especially the counting the electoral votes, which nobody ever has watched before except like somebody asleep with C-SPAN on. Watching those fucking votes, I was watching those people. I'm like, how the fuck is our country run by the biggest group of Poindexters I have ever seen in my life?
Yep.
Like these people, I'm sorry, you wouldn't have won treasurer in my high school. How the hell you get to be a senator, motherfucker?
As
Like,
a,
and you are the nerdiest, most poindexterous bunch of people I've ever met in my goddamn life.
uh,
Money.
Like, you
The
would think
answer is
cool kids
money.
win, but apparently they don't. Not when it comes
Yeah.
to this. But these people stand up and talk. I'm just like, does anybody who's ever voted for you ever listen to you talk a word that comes out of your mouth? Because they wouldn't vote for you if they did.
as a technician, as a person that does technical work, how do you feel about that hearing that they had when they were talking to Zuckerberg and everybody else about people's privacy and everything else? When I saw it, I was like, these people are crazy. Don't they understand all these websites are doing the same thing? You guys are jumping on Zuckerberg's ass, trying to say, oh, you're doing so and so, like, by taking people's information. I'm like, you're providing a free service, and obviously
I'm
there's a
surprised.
cause.
I'm surprised that people were surprised they were being spied on. Personally,
Exactly. That's what I'm like. These people are clueless. A lot of
it's
these,
like,
yeah, a
well,
lot
you
of the
said
Senate.
Facebook inspired on me. I'm like, did you just now figure it out? I've done that
Yeah,
shit since 2009.
yeah, 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 yeah,
Yep.
yeah. That's crazy. It's crazy.
But you see
Don't-
it. I mean, I don't know. I think the biggest time for me that it took home was probably 2011 or 12. And Christy, Anthony, my friend Christy, we'd rented a car and driven to Asheville for her birthday, and so we were listening to Bluetooth like on her Pandora, and
Mm.
we were talking about wanting to go see this Leftover Salmon concert at this little hotel where we just heard about they were going to be doing this show. It's like a little hotel in California and in Colorado. Nobody's ever heard of this hotel. And like, yeah, I'd like to go to whatever hotel. And we talk about it for 3 or 4 minutes. And about 10 minutes later, I open my phone. Sure enough, it's like, come stay at historic whatever hotel in Colorado. Like, well, you definitely were just listening to me, weren't you, asshole?
It's crazy
Yes.
when you're sitting down and you're minding your own business, and all of a sudden, excuse me, Siri or Google Assistant like says something. I'm like, what the hell, man? Like, I never said anything. Why the hell are you talking to me? Like, I'll be playing video games, and all of a sudden you'll hear him say something. Like Siri say something. I'm like, what the hell's going on, man? Like, I
Yeah,
don't know, man.
I'm okay
This is
with
why I
it.
don't
Like,
have a Siri.
I'm not interesting enough to spy on anyway.
Yeah, it's not a big deal for those people that aren't doing anything. It's the people that like want to have like their little privacy for certain things that are kind of a little excessive in their life. You know what I mean? That's why they don't like the spying and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Uh,
I mean, like, I mean, if I'm going to sell drugs, I'm going to use Signal.
yeah, yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
you know, I just don't.
yeah,
It's just the whole thing is weird,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
it's
yeah,
just
Yeah.
weirder to me that people care. I've always known.
yeah, yeah,
So,
Yes.
like, seeing people who are just now figuring it out is
yeah,
kind of funny.
yeah,
Everything I
yeah.
do in my life has been spied upon by a giant corporation. Like, we like to use the 5 millimeter tinfoil for our hats at
Yeah,
this meeting.
yeah, 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 yeah. That's crazy, man. That's crazy. It's so true, though, man. People they don't use common sense. I'm like, what would be the benefit of gaining you as a customer if you're not paying me anything? It's your information. You know what I mean? Like your information has value. Think about that. Like
Have
if they knew what kind
you
of
ever seen the
things
movie
you like to do.
Rounders with
Yes.
Matt Damon and
Maybe.
Ed Norton, where
Okay,
they're
it
playing
sounds like
Yes,
poker?
I've seen.
okay.
There's one of the best lines ever in that movie. It's 100% true in all walks of life. If you sit down at the table and don't know who the sucker is, you're the
Yep.
sucker.
Yep.
You're the sucker.
Yep.
Every time. If you don't know who it is, it's you.
Yep.
But
Yep.
whatever. I mean, that's why I said I use confusing names on my social media versus my private life.
Mm.
I keep things a little bit distant. I don't really care that Facebook knows that I like fish and sends me ads on how to buy a new fish bathrobe for myself for Christmas. Like I'm okay with that. But I know somebody calls me and they're like, Thomas Ward, that you don't fucking know me.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so I like to keep a little bit of ambiguity between my real life and my internet life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good.
And with that, I would love to just let's just close the day because I feel like we had one of these quick discussions today, which was kind of like unlike us. We're usually going on forever and ranting. So unless anybody has anything to add today to the craziness, I think we
The
can
rent is
wrap
too
it up and
damn
say
high.
Yeah.
the rent is too damn high. Oh,
What rent?
yes.
I have no money for the rent. What are you talking about?
That man is my politician. I would vote
Yes.
for him for president. The rent is too damn high party. Actually, I hardly pay anything in rent anymore, but still the principle of the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got my new place is $600 a month, no utilities for a 3-bedroom
Oof. Oof.
in the middle of the nicest part of Nashville.
Nice.
They
Good
rent
job.
out the top on these Airbnb contracts for traveling nurses. And then one of my clients owns the house. It's like $1 million house. So they rent out the main floor on this Airbnb contract. But then this woman who's a friend of theirs lives in the attic. And she got freaked out by some of these nurses that stayed there. Like it was a bunch of dudes and they were partying. So they decided they would feel better. Jen said she would feel better if I was just living in the basement walkout, little 3-bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, 600, no utilities.
Jeez. Ridiculous. Ridiculous.
I could rent a moderate-sized broom closet in New York for that.
Yeah, right.
Pretty much.
It's the same thing.
It'd have the
Jersey.
sink on the
Jersey's not
floor.
much
It'd
cheaper.
have the sink on the floor. It'd be great.
Yeah.
Actually, I heard New York's getting cheap.
That's a lie.
No,
Since
New
the
York is
pandemic.
turning into a vacuum. What's happening is that there's a lot of buildings that were built out here in basically gentrifying areas, and their buildings are better than the old buildings that are here. So when
Yeah.
people move out of the city, which they have been doing, they have so much more choice of where to live, and there's less people looking for housing in New York. So yes, if you go to a certain apartment building that needs people, they might rent you the price lower. But if you already live somewhere, you're screwed with the old rates of like
Yeah.
my entire apartment is $2,400. So
That whole place
that's
you
not
live
going to
in?
go down. The whole place, and I've told people already. I have a room that's empty that I've been trying to fill for 4 months now because somebody else, unemployment. When it runs out, it runs out, and they just couldn't pay for the apartment anymore.
Yeah.
And so I'm paying for 2 rooms right now, and there's one more room, and that's the thing. You're living with people too. You gotta take all these shorts.
Well, I know Pond's place on Roosevelt Island. She moved to one of those that was like the subsidized housing. That was a little rough. The place she was before was like really nice and bougie with, doormen and all that. And the place she's in now, like people smoke weed on the elevator.
Yeah.
So whatever. It's not bad. I'm just saying it's not the same. And she said her rent's run up at this place she moved to. She's going to move back to the place she'd lived when she first moved on Roosevelt Island. And it's going to be $100 less than what she's paying at that subsidized place. It's a quarter mile further away from the subway stop, and it's not nice. It's that weird one with all the elevator floors. You went to her old one, right?
I went to the old one.
Yeah, you went. So she's moving that back to that one. The rent had been 26, and she said it's only going to be 16 for the same place.
Wow, that means that owner, the person who owns that building, is struggling, and that's a truth. Like right now, there's a apartment across the way that has been empty for the entire apartment has been empty for 2 months now, and there's no way, the people who own this place must be freaking out because They're just,
Yeah,
like
empty. I mean, what's the property taxes on an apartment in New York's? I'm sure it's
20%,
lots.
20%. Yeah.
I'm sure it's lots.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're just fucking throwing out $100 bills every day your apartment's not rented, I imagine.
Yep. Exactly.
And
Yep.
plus all the taxes too. The taxes she had to pay is it's insane. I guess you do as well. Do you have to pay the city tax, Anthony, or no?
I pay them in. Yes, I do. I end up paying them. Yeah.
You
Because
do
I'm
have to pay
self-employed.
the
So
2% city tax. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, it's almost 48% of her income
this year
is
is going to
taxed.
be this year is going to be super weird because just this whole 2020 and being unemployed most of the year, and that is going to be very. And I had them take out my taxes off the bat so that I don't have any taxes that I owe them.
If you're
It's still
unemployment?
going to be like, yeah, yeah. I tried to play it
Good.
smart.
Good, because people fuck that up.
Yep.
Like me.
Yeah. I've done all right.
All right.
I mean, my move saved me $1,000 a month, but I don't know. I'm still just kind of hanging on, doing my stuff. Anyway, I'll let you guys get back to it. Thanks for letting me join your conversation and talk and take it over. A little high.
Yeah, and we'll have a proper call in soon. We haven't had
Okay.
that opportunity before, so we'll do that. That's something that we can do.
Yep.
All right, man. Well, you guys
All
have
right,
a
good
good
to see you,
evening.
Jess.
It's been fun talking to you.
It was nice meeting you. Take care, man.
Have a good night. He's gone. So let's close out the show. We had a good show, man. We talked about a lot of stuff. That's the main thing that we have to applaud ourselves for. Sometimes you don't have like a very active discussion with obviously with Jess we did, but it wasn't an active discussion with the people, but it'll be good because people will clip this out and it'll be fantastic.
Yep. Well, it goes
So
to show,
thank you.
I was gonna say, technology-wise, we're getting there, man. Like we're able to pull people in, and we'll have the Zooms to do things too at some point where we have like bigger events. Like I'm happy the way things are flowing here. Like I like the way that we were able to like do it on the fly. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
soon we'll have the phone stuff.
Doing
set
it
up,
live.
too. Yeah, everything live. Yep.
Doing it live.
Yeah. Oh man.
All right. So thank you for joining us. Thank you, everybody. This is Anthony Thompson and Robert Catrona. Please follow, subscribe, like, do all of those things that you need to do so that we can make the algorithm gods happy. And that's the only gods you should be making happy.
All right, everybody. Take care, everybody.